Good afternoon, everyone. Let us start. Remember, we're learning Chapter 15 Life on the Earth. Today, we shall discuss about structure and functions of ecosystems. Now, let me present my screen. Structure and functions of ecosystems. Yesterday we learned that an ecosystem is the interaction between biotic and abiotic factors. Now let us read about the structure and the functions of ecosystems. So structure of an ecosystem involves a description of the available plant and animal species. From a structural point of view, all ecosystem consists of biotic and abiotic factors. So what are the abiotic factors? About it we also have discussed earlier. Abiotic factors include rainfall, then temperature, sunlight, atmospheric humidity, that is moisture, then soil conditions, inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, water, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, etc. So abiotic, this is non-living things, okay, and it includes rainfall, temperature, sunlight, humidity, soil condition, inorganic substances. And then what are the biotic factors? So biotic factors include producers, the consumers. Okay, so among the consumers also we have primary consumers, then tertiary consumers, as well as secondary consumers, and the decomposers. That means biotic factors include producers, consumers, and decomposers. So producers include all the green plants which manufacture their own food through photosynthesis. So what are the producers? So producers are those green plants which manufacture their own food through photosynthesis. And primary consumers include herbivorous animals like deer, goats, mice, and all plant-eating animals. Okay, I think up to here you may be clear. So primary consumers include herbivorous animals, that is animals feeding on grasses like deer, goats, mice, and all other plant-eating animals. And carnivores, include all the flesh-eating animals like snake, tiger, lions. So these are some examples, okay. And certain carnivores that feed also on carnivores are known as top carnivores. Okay, certain carnivores, certain flesh-eating animals also feed on other carnivores, and those are known as top carnivores. And we have examples of hawks and mongooses. Okay, hawks, mongooses, these are examples of top carnivores. I think you are familiar with hawks also. See here we have a photograph of this hawk. This is red-tailed hawk. Okay, an example of this top carnivore. And another one we have this mongoose. Okay, so this is also another example of this top carnivore. Then what are decomposers? Decomposers are those that feed on dead organisms. Okay, decomposers are those that feed on dead organism. For example, the scavengers. Okay, scavengers like vultures and crows. Scavengers means any animal that feeds on refuse or other decaying organic matter. Okay, any animal that feeds on refuse or other decaying organic matter are known as scavengers. So examples of decomposers we have vultures and crows. Okay, crows, vultures also you might be familiar. So we have a photograph of vulture here. Okay, so this is an example of this decomposer. And further breaking down of dead matter by other decomposing agents like bacteria and various microorganisms. Okay, so not only these vulture, crows, we have bacteria, different types of bacteria. Okay, that will break down the dead matter and at the same time also using it. Okay, and not only the bacteria, various other microorganisms are also coming under decomposers. So this is about the structure and the functions of ecosystem. So let me continue. So we have a diagram here, okay, depicting structure and the functions of ecosystem. Just let us see here. Okay, see here. So sun is the ultimate source of energy. Okay, so energy in the ecosystem is derived only from the sun. If there were no sun, then okay, no plant, no animals, that means no ecosystem on the earth surface or on the water bodies or anywhere. Okay, sun is the source of energy. Then from the sunlight, okay, these green plants are grown. That means using sunlight, we have learned about photosynthesis. Okay, so by using sunlight, plants manufacture food, and because of that, these green plants are growing up. And the plants, you know, these are producers. Okay, green plants are producers, and these green plants are again eaten by these herbivores. Okay, known as primary consumers. And again, these herbivores are eaten by these carnivores. Okay, carnivores known as secondary consumers. And again, some carnivores are again eaten by other top carnivores. Just we have learned about it. Okay, we have hawks and others, and these are known as tertiary consumers. Okay, and carnivores are known as secondary consumers. And again, from the green plants, okay, from the leaves, we get this. From the plants also we get these leaves. Okay, that remain. Then from the herbivores also we get these dead remains, and likewise from the carnivores also, secondary consumers also, we get dead remains, and from the top carnivores also get dead remains. And so this will be again utilized by the decomposers. Okay, the dead remains will be utilized, will be eaten up by the decomposers like vultures, bacteria, and the other microorganisms. Okay, then again, see here, again after that it will become part of the soil nutrients. Okay, the dead remains, then the remains of decomposers or activities of the byproducts of decomposers will become a part of soil nutrients. And again, these soil nutrients will be utilized by the green plants. Okay, so in this way we have a cycle in the ecosystem also. Okay, so this is what we call structure and a function of ecosystem. Are you clear? Any question from your side?
No, sir.
Okay, let us continue. Then producers, as we discussed earlier, producers, that means green plants are consumed by the primary consumers, whereas the primary consumers are in turn being eaten up by the secondary consumers, and further the secondary consumers are consumed by the tertiary consumers. That you have seen, okay, that you have seen here, okay, this flow energy is here. Producers are eaten by primary, then by secondary, then by tertiary. Okay. The decomposers feed on the dead at each and every level. Okay, decomposers feed on the dead remains, dead bodies at each and every level, and they change them into various substances such as nutrients, then organic, inorganic salt, essential for soil fertility. Okay, the byproducts of these decomposers, okay, will become this part of the soil, and again these nutrients, soil nutrients, will be utilized by the plants again. So in this way, organisms of an ecosystem are linked together through a food chain. Just we have discussed earlier, figure number 15.1 that we have discussed earlier here. Okay, this is figure 15.1. okay, from here then soil nutrients then again it will be utilized. Okay, so about food chain, first let us read an example, and after that what is it, let us see. Okay, for example, a plant eating beetle feeding on a paddy stalk is eaten by a frog, which in turn eaten by a snake, which is then consumed by a hawk. And this sequence of eating and being eaten and the resultant transfer energy from one level to another is known as food chain. Okay, what is food chain? The sequence of eating and being eaten and the resultant transfer energy from one level to another is known as food chain. And just see here in this diagram also, we derive energy from the sun. That means plant get energy from the sun, and again after eating plant, then these herbivores, primary consumers, will get energy. That means energy is transferred from plants to these herbivores, and again after eating these herbivores by the secondary consumers, carnivores, then energy is again transferred from the primary consumers to the secondary consumers, and likewise from the secondary consumers to the tertiary. Okay, and from the plants again energy is transferred here, and from here again. So in this way, energy is transferred from one level to another level. Okay, and in the food chain. An example of food chain, just here we have a very simple food chain here. Paddy stalk eaten by frog, which in turn eaten by snake and then consumed by hawk. Okay, just we have a very simple this food chain also here. Another example. Okay, see here, this is another simple food chain. Grass, okay, producer eaten by grasshopper, that is primary consumer, then eaten by this frog, that is secondary consumer, then again frog is eaten by snake, tertiary consumer, then snake is again eaten by eagle, quaternary consumer. So this is another example of this food chain. Okay, and here so this is an example of this sea food chain. So everywhere we have food chain, okay, maybe in the water or maybe on the land, Okay, so this is an example of this ocean food chain. And see here, here we have one cell life. Okay, it is magnified here. For example, plankton. Okay, so planktons are eaten by the shrimp-like creatures. Okay, magnified. Then again, these shrimp-like creatures are eaten by the small fish, and small fish are eaten by these mackerels. Okay, or these mackerels and small fish again eaten by this tuna, then again by a large shark. So this is another example of this ocean food chain. Okay, another example of food chain. Then we have so these are some examples of terrestrial food chain. Okay, see here, plants. So we have sun here, then energy is obtained from the sun by the plants. Then again, plants are eaten by these small herbivores. Then again, small herbivores are eaten by these larger predators. So this is one food chain. Then again, plants are eaten by these herbivores, that is insects, for example grasshopper. Then again, eaten by these small predators like snake. Then snakes are eaten by this the hawk, large predator. So again, we have these plants eaten by these herbivores. Then again, these predator, okay, these for example spider, for example. Then again, eaten by these owls and others. Okay, so in this way, we have different types of food chains on the earth surface and in the water also. Okay, then let us continue. Are you clear? Do you have any question regarding food chain?
No, sir.
Okay, then see, but we have discussed only very simple food chain, but in the real case, okay, actually it is very complex. It is not so simple as we discuss here. See here, however, food chains are not isolated from one another, very complex. For example, a mouse feeding on grain, okay, may be eaten by different secondary consumers, that is carnivores, and these carnivores may be eaten by other different tertiary consumers, that is top carnivores, as we have got there. Okay, see, a mouse feeding on the grain may be eaten by different secondary consumers. Mouse can be eaten by the snakes also, then by the hawks also. Okay, it doesn't mean that mouse should be eaten by snakes only. It is not like that. Okay, it is very complex, and so that means it is eaten by different consumers. And in such a situation, okay, in such a situation, each of the carnivores may consume more than one type of prey. As a result, food chains get interlocked with one another. Okay, and this interconnecting network of species is known as food web. Okay, actually food web is the interconnecting network of these food chains. Okay, just here as we discussed here also, in this case also, see here, in this case, for example, insects are eaten by these consumers. Okay, and likewise, see, because of this we have this interlocking food chains as given here. So this is a very simple example of this food web. So for example, here we have these producers, okay, carrots here, then we have another producer, grasses, then grains are here, okay. So in this case, see, grains are eaten by these birds, then by the grasshopper also, then by the mice also, okay. And again, mice is eaten by these owl. At the same time, owls also eat grasshoppers, okay. And grasshoppers are also eaten by these birds also, okay. And the birds are again eaten by foxes, and foxes also may eat rabbits, whereas rabbit may eat these grasses and as well as carrots also. So in this way, these food chains are interlinking, okay, interlock, and this is what I call this food web. Okay, this is what I call food web. And generally, two types of food chains are recognized. Okay, we have two important types of food chains, and we have grazing food chain, and another one is detritus. Okay, detritus food chain. So what are these? Let us read. So in a grazing food chain, the first level, okay, starts with plants as the producers and ends with carnivores as consumers at the last level, with herbivores being eaten being at the intermediate level. So in case of this grazing food chain, the first level starts with plants as a producer and ends with carnivores as the consumer at the last level, and with herbivores being at the intermediate level. So about this we have discussed earlier. See, whatever we discussed earlier, say for example, the food chain here, the food chain here. So this is an example of this grazing food chain. Okay, it starts with the producer, grasses at the producers. Okay, then here these carnivores at last, and in between we have these others. Okay, and we may also give another example. Okay, see here, as we just discussed earlier, and see here. Okay, this is another one, and see here, frog, then a snake and hawk. And another example we can give from here also, it is here, okay. See here, here in this case also, here it starts with plants, then we have this sequence. Okay, here in between we have herbivores. So this is another example of this grazing, this food chain. Okay. Or can you give me another example of grazing food chain? So let me give you another one also. Okay, see here, just it is very small. Okay, first one we have grass. So in next we may have, for example, this deer. Okay, Then next we may have these carnivores like tiger, for example, tiger. So this is also this is an example of this grazing food chain. So here grass is eaten by these herbivores, then again herbivores are eaten by these carnivores. Okay, so this is another simple example of grazing food chain. And here there is loss of energy. Okay, there is loss of energy at each level, which may be through respiration, excretion, or decomposition. So there is loss of energy at each level in this food chain, maybe through respiration process, maybe through excretion, that is release of waste material from the body, okay, or after this death also due to decomposition. And the levels involved in a food chain range between 3 to 5, and the energy is lost at each level. Okay, so levels involved in a food chain ranges between 3 to 5, and energy is lost at each level. Okay, in a food chain there may be 3 level, 4 level, or 5 level, and energy is lost at each level. And just see here, here we have this pyramid. Okay, energy pyramid here. At the lowest level we have these producers, that is green plants. Okay, after eating these green plants by these herbivores, that is primary consumers, that is energy is transferred from the green plants to the herbivores, and because of that there is loss of energy. Okay, and again these herbivores will be eaten by the secondary consumers, and again there is loss of energy in the second level also, say due to respiration, due to excretion, or due to decomposition. Okay, so in this way at each level there is loss of this energy. And another type of food chain, remember we are learning two types of food chain. One is the grazing food chain, and another one is detritus food chain. Okay, what do you mean by detritus? Actually detritus means remains of something, okay, or dead body of something, remains of something. So a detritus food chain is based on autotroph energy capture initiated by grazing animals, and involves the decomposition or breaking down of organic wastes and the dead matter derived from the grazing food chain. So a detritus food chain is based on autotroph energy capture. Autotroph means an organism that can produce its own food, okay, using light, water, carbon dioxide, or other chemical. Those are known as autotroph. So a detritus food chain is based on autotroph's energy capture. Okay, initiated means started by grazing animals, and involves the decomposition or breaking down of organic wastes and the dead matter derived from the grazing food chain. Actually, see, in case of this detritus food chain, the food chain begins with dead organic matter. Okay, in this case the food chain begins with dead organic matter. Say for example here, just let me type here. Okay, in case of detritus, that organic matter. Okay, that organic matter. Then we have microorganisms. Next we have then denitritivore. Denitritivore means organism, okay, which eat detritus materials. Okay, denitritivore organisms. So this is the case of this detritus food chain. Okay, it is in this way. From the dead organic matter, it starts with the dead organic matter, like these leaves of the trees, then microorganisms, okay, bacteria, others, then denitritivore, that is organisms that feed on these dead bodies, detritus material. Okay, so we have a very simple example of this detritus food chain. See here, dead leaves eaten by these wood louse, then wood louse is eaten by this blackbird. So this is another example of detritus food chain. Okay, and remember, in case of detritus food chain, it starts with dead organic matter, as given here. Okay, as I have given here. Then we can give some more examples of this detritus food chain. Okay, say for example leaves. Say for example leaves, and then insect larva. Okay, insect larva, and then these pieces, then after this these larger predators. Okay, larger predators also there. So this is another example of this detritus food chain. Okay, in this way. So any question from your side? Are you clear? Okay, then let us stop here for today. Thank you very much for joining my class.